Hello, welcome to Psyched Minds. If you have not subscribed yet, do subscribe to the channel Psyched Minds. We are reading It Didn't Start With You by Mark Wallen. How inherited family trauma shapes who we are and how to end the cycle. Part 3 Pathways to Reconnection. Chapter 10 From Insight to Integration. From insight to integration. A human being is a part of the whole, though he experiences himself, his thoughts, and feelings as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. Albert Einstein to Robert S. Marcus, February 12, 1950. The optical delusion Einstein refers to is the idea that we are separate from those around us as well as from those who came before us. Yet, as we have seen again and again, we are connected to people in our family history whose unresolved traumas have become our legacy. When the connection remains unconscious, we can live imprisoned in feelings and sensations that belongs to the past. However, with our family history in view, the pathways that will set us free become illuminated. Sometimes the simple act of linking our experience to an unresolved trauma in our family is enough, as we saw with Carol in the last chapter. Once she connected the feelings in her core language to the trauma in her family, her body immediately began to tremble as if she was shaking off what had belonged to the past. For Carol, the awareness alone was profound enough to initiate a visceral reaction she could feel at her core. For some of us, the awareness of what happened in our family needs to be accompanied by an exercise of experience that brings about a release or create greater ease in our bodies. The map home. By this point in the book, you have likely gathered the essential pieces of your core language map. You have likely discovered words or sentences you thought were yours but which may have, in fact, belonged to others. You have likely also made links in your family history, unearthing traumatic events or spoken loyalties that have seeded this language. Now it's time to bring all the pieces together and take the next step. Here's a list of what you will need. Your core complaint, the core language describing your deepest worry, struggle, or complaint. Your core descriptors, the core language describing your parents, your core sentence, the core language describing your first fears, your core trauma, the event or events in your family that sit behind your core language. Written exercise 12. Make peace with your family history. 1. Write down the core language that has the greatest emotional charge or that evokes the most emotion in you when you speak it out loud. 2. Also write down the traumatic event or events that are connected to this core language. 3. List all the people whose life were touched by this event. Who was most affected? Your mother, your father, a grandparent, an uncle, an aunt? Who isn't acknowledged or talked about? Is there a sibling who was given away or didn't survive? Did a grandparent or great grandparent leave the family or die young or suffer in some terrible way? Was a parent or grandparent engaged or married previously? Is that person acknowledged in your family? Is there anyone outside your family who was judged, rejected, or blamed for harming a family member? Describe what happened, what images come to mind as you write this. Take a minute and visualize what they might have felt or gone through. What is happening in your body as you think about this? Are there any family members you feel particularly drawn to? Do you feel yourself being pulled in emotionally? Does it resonate in your body? Where in your body do you feel this? Is it a place you're familiar with? Do you experience sensitivity or symptoms in that same area? 6. Place your hand there and allow your breath to fill that area. 7. Visualize the same member or members involved in this event. Tell them you are important. I will do something meaningful to honor you. I will make something good come out of this tragedy. I will live my life as fully as I can, knowing that this is what you want for me. 8. Construct your own personal language that acknowledges the unique connection you share with this person or these people. Creating personal healing sentences. Unconscious reliving can go on for generations. Once we recognize that we have been carrying thoughts, emotions, feelings, behaviors, or symptoms that do not originate with us, we can break the cycle. We start by taking a conscious action that acknowledges the tragic event and the people involved. Often, this begins with a conversation we have internally or with a family member, either in person or through visualization. The right words can release us from unconscious family ties and loyalties and end the cycle of inherited trauma. For Jesse, the young man with insomnia, who at 19 began to reenact aspects of his uncle's death in a blizzard. The conversation took place in my office. I asked Jesse to visualize his uncle standing in front of him and speak directly to him, silently inside if he wished. I helped Jesse construct the words and suggested that he tells his uncle, I shiver each night and have had difficulty letting myself fall asleep since my 19th birthday. Jesse's breathing deepened. I could hear a rasp in his exhale. His eyelids began to flutter, shaking loose a tear from the corner of his eye. From now on, Uncle Colin, you will live on in my heart, not in my sleeplessness. As Jesse mouthed the words, more tears began to fall. At that point, I said, hear your uncle telling you to breathe out and release the fear back to him. This insomnia doesn't belong to you. It never did. Just by having this conversation with his uncle, the uncle he never knew he had, Jesse began to calm. As he breathed out, his jaw loosened and his shoulders dropped. Color began to return to his cheeks. His eyes seemed to spark back to life. Something from deep inside him was letting go. Although Jesse was only imagining this conversation with his uncle, brain research shows that Jesse was actually activating the same neurons and regions in the brain that would be activated if he were actually having this healing experience with his uncle in person. Following our session, Jesse reported that he was able to sleep through the night without interruption. Examples of healing sentences. One man I worked with recognized that he had been unconsciously sharing his rejected grandfather's loneliness and isolation. He said these words, I've been isolated and alone just like you. I can see that this doesn't even belong to me. I know this is not what you want for me, and I know it burdens you to see me suffer like this. From now on, I will live my life connected to the people around me. In this way, I will honor you. Another client understood that she had been unconsciously sharing the relationship failures and unhappiness of her mother and grandmother. She said these sentences. Mother, please bless me to be happy with my husband, even when you couldn't be happy with Dad. To honor you and Dad, I will relish my love with my husband so that both of you can see that things go well for me. A young woman I once worked with acknowledged that she had been living in an anxious and contracted state for as long as she could remember. She said these words to her mother, who died while giving birth to her. Every time I feel anxious, I will feel you smiling at me, supporting me, blessing me to be well. Whenever I feel my breath moving inside me, I will feel you there with me and know that you are happy for me. Additional healing sentences. Instead of reliving what happened to you, I promise to live my life fully. What happened to you won't be in vain. I'll use what happened as a source of strength. I will honor the life you gave me by doing something good with it. I will do something meaningful and dedicated to you. I will not leave you out of my heart. I will light a candle for you. I will honor you by living fully. I live my life in a loving way. I will make something good come out of this tragedy. Now I understand. It helps to understand. From healing sentences to healing images, whether we are conscious of it or not, our life is profoundly influenced by the inner images, beliefs, expectations, assumptions, and opinions we hold. Intrinsic imprints such as life never works out for me, or I'll fail no matter what I try, or I have a weak immune system can lay a blueprint for how our life unfolds, limiting the way we take in new experiences and affecting the way we feel. Imagine the effects on your body of the inner image. My childhood was difficult, or the image, my mother was cruel, or my father was emotionally abusive. Although there may be a significant amount of truth in these images, they might also not reveal the whole story. Was every day of your childhood difficult? Was your father ever gentle? Was your mother ever caring? Do you have access to all your early memories of being held, fed, and tucked into your crib at night when you were an infant? Remember, as we learned in chapter 5, many of us hold on to only those memories designed to protect us from being hurt again. Memories that support our defenses, memories that the evolutionary biologists claim are part of our inborn negativity bias. Could any memories be missing? More important, have you asked the questions: what was behind my mom's hurtfulness? What traumatic event lay behind my father's frustration? In creating your healing sentences, you may have already noticed a new internal experience beginning to take root. It may have come to you in the form of an image or a feeling, perhaps, perhaps as a sense of belonging or connection. Maybe you could feel the support of your family members watching over you. Maybe you experienced a greater sense of peace as if something unresolved was finally completing. All these experiences can have a potent effect on healing. Essentially, they establish an internal reference point of feeling whole, a reference point we can refer back to each time old feelings threatened our stability. These new experiences function much like new memories accompanied with new understandings, new images, new feelings, and new sensations in the body. They can be life changers, powerful enough to overshadow the old, limiting images that have been running our lives. These new experiences and images continue to deepen through ritual, exercises, and practice. Here are some creative ways to support your healing process as it continues to unfold. Examples of rituals, exercises, practices, and healing images. Placing a photo on the desk. A man who understood that he had been re experiencing his grandfather's guilt placed a photo of his grandfather on his desk. He breathed out and visualizing leaving the guilt feelings with his grandfather. Each time he repeated this ritual, he felt lighter and freer. Lighting a candle. A woman whose father died when she was an infant had no memory of him. Estranged from her husband at 29, the same age her father was when he died, she unconsciously shared her father's disconnection from the family. She lit a candle every night for 2 months and imagined the flame from the candle burning an opening for the two of them to reunite. She would speak to her father and feel his presence comforting her. By the end of the ritual, her feelings of disconnection had eased, and a new feeling of being cared for by a loving father had expanded her inside her. Writing a letter. A man who had abruptly left his college fiancée found himself still struggling in his relationship 20 years later. He had learned that his fiancée had died the year after he left. Although he knew she would never receive his letter, he wrote to her, apologizing for his carelessness and indifference. In the letter, he said, "I'm so sorry. I know how much you loved me and how much I hurt you. It must have been so terrible for you. I'm so very sorry. I know I'll never be able to deliver this letter, but I hope you can receive my words." After writing this letter, the man felt a sense of peace and completion he couldn't explain. Placing a photo above the bed. A woman who had spent her life rejecting her mother realized that an early separation in an incubator had kept her feeling suspicious and shut down from receiving her mother's love. She also began to see how pushing her mother away became a blueprint for pushing relationships away. She taped a photo of her mother on the wall above her pillow and asked her mother to hold her each night while she slept, and her defenses softened. As she lay in bed, she could feel her mother caressing her. She described her mother's love as being like a current of energy that gave her strength. Within weeks, she could feel more ease in her body upon awakening. Within months, she could feel her mother's support with her as a physical feeling throughout the day. By the end of the year, she noticed more people entering her life in a substantial way. Note, this particular woman's mother was still alive, however, this practice is effective regardless of whether one's parent is alive or deceased. Developing a supportive image. A sudden onset of anxiety in a 7-year-old boy expressed in his pulling out much of the hair on the crown of his head, a condition known as trichotillomania. His anxiety appeared to originate in the family history. When his mother was 7, she witnessed her mother die suddenly of a brain aneurysm. The grief was so great that his mother never talked about his grandmother. When his mother shared what had happened, he immediately began to relax. She had him imagine his deceased grandmother as a guardian angel, protecting them both. She showed him a picture of a halo and had him imagine that grandmother's love was like a halo caressing his head. Whenever he touched the top of his head, he would be met with a peaceful feeling. That day, he stopped pulling his hair out. Creating a boundary. Another woman grew up burdened by feeling responsible for her alcoholic mother's happiness and well-being. As this pattern of caretaking continued into adulthood, she had difficulty letting herself receive care and support from others. It was hard for her to be in relationships without feeling both responsible for people's feeling and suffocated by their needs. She sat on the floor and traced a circle around her body using a piece of yarn. Noticing that as she marked out a space for herself, she was already breathing more easily, she told her mother, "Mom, this is my space. You are over there and I am over here. When I was little, I would have done anything to make you happy, but it was way too much for me. Now I feel like I have to make everyone happy and it makes closeness feel suffocating. Mom, from now on, your feelings are over there with you, and my feelings are over here with me. In this boundary, I'll honor my feelings so that I don't have to lose myself when I start to feel connected with someone." The rituals and practices I just described may seem small in comparison with the great pain one has carried for years. Yet science tells us that the more we repeat and revisit these new images and experiences, the more they integrate inside us. Science tells us that practices such as these can alter our brains by creating new neural pathways. Not only that, when we visualize a healing image, we activate the same region of the brain, specifically in the left prefrontal cortex, that are associated with feelings of well-being and positive emotions. Healing sentences and the bodies. An essential part of healing involves our ability to incorporate the experience of our physical sensation into the process. When we can just be with the feeling that arise in our bodies without reacting unconsciously, we are more likely to stay grounded when inner unrest begins to surge. Insight is often gained when we are willing to tolerate what is uncomfortable in the quest to understand ourselves. When you focus inside, what do you feel? What sensations do you connect with, your fearful thoughts or uncomfortable emotions? Where do you feel it most? Does your throat constrict? Does your breathing stop? Does your chest tighten? Do you go numb? Where is the epicenter of that feeling in your body? In your heart? In your belly or solar plexus? Being able to navigate this inner territory even when the feeling seems overpowering is essential. If you're not sure what your body is feeling, say your core sentence aloud. As you learned in chapter 8, speaking your core sentence aloud can arouse physical sensation. Say it and observe your body. Are you aware of any shakiness? Is there a sinking feeling? Numbness? Whatever you feel or don't feel is fine. Just place your hand where you imagine or sense the feelings to be. Next, bring your breath to that area. Exhale into your body so that the entire area feels supported. You might want to visualize your exhale as a beam of light illuminating that part of your body. Next, say to yourself these words. I've got you. Imagine that you are speaking to a young child who feels unseen and unheard. Chances are there is a child there, a child part of you that has been ignored for a very long time. Imagine that this small child has been waiting for you to recognize him or her, and today is that day. Healing sentences we can say to ourselves. Place your hand on the body and breathe deeply while you say one or more of the following inner sentences to yourself. I've got you. I'm here. I'll hold you. I'll breathe with you. I'll comfort you. Whenever you are feeling scared or overwhelmed, I won't leave you. I will stay with you. I will breathe with you until you are calm. When we place our hands on our body and direct our words and breathe inside, we support the parts of ourselves that feel most vulnerable. In doing so, we have a chance to ease or release what we experience as intolerable. Long standing feelings of discomfort can give way to feelings of expansion and well being. As the new feelings take root, we can experience ourselves being more supported in our body. Healing our relationship with our parents. In chapter 5, we learned how our vitality, the life force that comes to us from our parents, can become blocked when our connection to them is compromised. When we have rejected, judged, blamed, or distanced ourselves from either parent, the reverberations are felt in us as well. We might not be consciously aware of it, but pushing a parent away is akin to pushing away a part of ourselves. When we cut ourselves from our parents, the qualities we view as negative in them can express in us unconsciously. If, for example, we experienced our parent as cold or critical or aggressive, we can experience ourselves as cold, self critical, and even inwardly aggressive, the very qualities we reject in them. In that sense, we do to ourselves what we feel was done to us. The answer is to find some way to bring our parents into our hearts and to bring the qualities we reject in them and in us into our awareness. There we have the chance to transform something difficult into something that can bring us strength by developing a relationship with the painful parts of ourselves, parts we have often inherited from our family. We have an opportunity to shift them. Qualities like cruelty can become the source of our kindness. Our judgments can forge the foundation of our compassion. Feeling at peace with ourselves often begins with being at peace with our parents. That being said, can you receive something good from what they gave you? Can you stay open in your body when you think about them? If they are still alive, can you remain undefended when you are with them? Healing can happen even if they have passed on. Sit in jail or tread in a sea of pain. Is there one memory, one good intention, one tender image, one understanding, one way your parent expresses love and that you can let in? Letting yourself connect with a warm inner image can begin to change your outer relationship with your parent. You can't change what was, but you can change what is, as long as you don't expect your parent to change or be any different from who they are. It is you who must hold the relationship differently. That's your work, not your parents' work. The question is, are you willing? The renowned Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh teaches that when you are angry with your parents, you get angry with yourself. Suppose the plant of corn got angry at the grain of corn. He tells us if we are angry with our father or mother, we have to breathe in and out and find reconciliation. This is the only path to happiness. Reconciliation is mostly an internal movement. Our relationship with our parent is not dependent on what they do, how they are, or how they respond. It's about what we do. The change occurs in us. Once Randy learned that his father lost his best friend while they fought together during the war, Randy could understand why his father kept to himself. Randy had often felt that his father's distance had been personally directed towards him. Knowing the story changed all that. His father Glenn and his childhood best friend Dawn was reunited by chance when their units joined together to fight the Germans in Belgium. Under heavy fire, Dawn saved Glenn's life. In the process, he took a bullet in his neck and died in Glenn's arms. Glenn returned home, married, and had a family, though he could never fully embrace what he had, knowing that Dawn would never have these things. Randy apologized to his dad for judging him and for pulling away. He no longer expected Glenn to connect with him in the way he craved. Instead, Randy could love him just as he was. As we learned in the preceding chapters, it helps to know what happened in our family that made our parents hurt so much. What sat behind the distance, criticism, or aggression in the first place? Knowing these events can open the door to understanding their pain as well as our own. When we know the traumatic events that contributed to our parents' pain, our understanding and compassion can begin to overshadow the old hurts. Sometimes just saying a sentence like, Mom, Dad, I'm sorry that I was distant and pulled away, can open something in us that surprises us. Read the list of healing sentences that follows. Perhaps one or two of them will speak to you in a way that starts to dissolve the block between you and your parents. Let the words reach you. Is there a sentence that tugs at your heart? Perhaps you can imagine saying one or two of these sentences to your parents you have rejected. Healing sentences when we have rejected a parent. I'm so sorry for how distant I have been. Whenever you have reached out to me, I've pushed you away. I miss you, but it's not easy to tell you that. Dad or Mom, you're really good father or mother. I've learned a lot from you. Recall and share a positive memory with that. I'm sorry for how difficult I have been. I've been really judgmental. It's prevented me from being close to you. Please give me a second chance. I would really like to be closer. I'm sorry that I pulled away. I promise for the remaining time we have together, I'll be closer. I really like that we are close. I promise to stop making you prove your love to me. I'll stop expecting that your love should look a certain way. I'll take in your love as you give it, not as I expect it. I'll take your love in even when I can't feel it in your words. You have given me a lot. Thank you. Mom or Dad, I had a really bad day and just needed to call you. Mom or Dad, can we stay on the phone a bit longer? It comforts me to just hear your voice. Mom or Dad, can I just sit here? It feels good just being next to you. Before you attempt to heal a severely broken relationship with your parents, you might first want to have a few sessions with a body-centered therapist or cultivate a mindfulness meditation practice to learn resources that will allow you to connect with your body's sensation. When you can observe your reactions to stress, you can monitor and give yourself what you need in the very moments you most need it. It's important to cultivate an inner feeling that both guides and supports you. For example, learning certain breathing techniques can give you a physical sense of your body's limits so that you can proceed at a speed that's just right for you, as well as maintain the distance you feel is appropriate. The right distance allows you to feel relaxed so that you don't have to defend or shrink yourself to feel connected. A solid but flexible boundary enables you to have adequate space to feel your feelings while at the same time letting you enjoy the healing connection you are forging with your parents. Ultimately, when you can breathe deeply enough to know what you're feeling in your body, you don't have to leave it. Healing sentences to say to a deceased parent. Even when our outer relationship with our parents is distant or non-existent, our inner relationship with them continues to evolve. Even when our parents are deceased, we can still speak to them. Here are a few sentences that can help rebuild a bond that broke or never fully developed. Please hold me in my sleep when my body is more open and I'm easier to reach. Please teach me how to trust and let love in. Please teach me how to receive. Please help me feel more peaceful in my body. Healing sentences to say to an unknown or estranged parent. When a parent has left early or has given us away to be raised by others, the pain can feel insurmountable. In a sense, the initial leaving often forges an unconscious blueprint for many the rejections and abandonment that occur later in our life. The cycle of pain needs to come to an end. As long as we continue to live feeling that we have been wronged or victimized, we are likely to continue the pattern. Read the following sentences and imagine that you are saying them to your estranged parent or to the parent you have never met. If it made things easier for you to leave or give me away, I understand. I'll stop blaming you, which I know only holds us both hostage. I'll get what I need from others and make something good come out of what happened. What happened between us will serve us as the source of my strength. Because it happened, I've gained a particular strength I can rely on. Thank you for the gift of life. I promise not to waste or squander it. Healing sentences when we have merged with a parent. While some of us have rejected a parent, others have merged with a parent in a way that clouds our identity and drains our individuality. In the merged relationship, we might have missed opportunities for self definition or lost the edges of who we are and what we feel. If this is true for you, you might read the sentences that follow as though you are hearing them from your mother or father. Imagine his or her voice saying these words to you as your body opens to receive them. Notice which words or sentences reaches you in the deepest way. Imagine your parents saying one or more of these sentences to you. 1. I love you for who you are. There's nothing you have to do to earn my love. 2. You are my child and you are separate from me. My feelings do not have to be your feelings. 3. I've been too close to you and I see the toll it has taken on you. 4. It must have been overwhelming with all my needs and emotions. 5. My needs make it difficult for you to have space for yourself. 6. I will step back now so that my love doesn't overpower you. 7. I will give you all the space you need. 8. If I have been too close to you for you to know yourself, now I will stay over here and take joy in watching you live your life over there. 9. You have been taking care of me and I have allowed it, but no more. 10. This is way too much for any child. 11. Any child who tries to fix this would feel burdened. This is not yours. 12. Take a step back now until you can feel your own life flowing through you. Only then will I be at peace. 13. I had not been able to face my own pain until now. What's mine has been over there with you. It is time for it to return to me where it belongs. Then we are both free. 14. You have had far too much of me and not enough of your father or mother. It would please me to see the two of you closer. That's where you need to be. Now visualize your parents standing in front of you and notice if you have an inner feeling to move forward or backward. Do you need to move closer or farther away? Do you have a body feeling that lets you know what distance is right for you? The right distance can open, soften, or relax something inside of us. When this happens, we have more room inside to feel our feelings. When you have found your right distance, say one or more of the following sentences, noticing your feelings as the words are spoken. Say one or more of these sentences to a parent. Mom, I'm over here and you are over there. Or, Dad, I'm over here and you are over there. Your feelings are over there with you and my feelings are over here with me. Please stay over there, but don't go too far away. I breathe much easier when I have my own space. It shrinks me when I try to take care of your feelings. It was too much to think I could make you happy. I see now that setting myself aside has only made us both invisible. From now on, I will live my life fully, knowing that you are there behind me, supporting me. Whenever I feel my breath moving inside my body, I'll know that you are happy for me. Thank you for seeing me and hearing me. If you have followed these steps in this chapter, you might already be noticing a new kind of peace inside yourself. The healing sentences you have spoken and the images, rituals, practices, and exercises you have experienced may have helped to strengthen a relationship with a loved one or helped ease an unconscious entanglement with a family member. If you have followed these steps and feel the need for something more, the next chapter will provide you with another piece of the puzzle, an exploration into the first few years of life. An early separation from our mother can keep us separate from life in a way that can block a resolution from fully reaching us. In the next chapter, we will explore the effects of an early separation and look at the many ways it can leave an imprint on our relationships, success, health, and well being. That brings us to the end of chapter 10 of part 3 of the book. If you have any kind of comment, criticism, or feedback, good or bad, anything at all, you can reach out to me in the comment section of the video you're viewing or in the community section. Bye bye for now. Take care. Keep reading. Bye. Also, subscribe to the channel. Bye.